You ever feel like you're doing everything right but somehow still losing? Like, seriously, you pay your bills on time, every single month. You follow the rules. You don't miss deadlines. You're the person everyone calls responsible. You've got your credit score memorized. You budget like it's a religion. You sacrifice nights out, skip vacations, say no to things you actually want because you're being smart, being disciplined, being the adult everyone told you to be. And yet, you're stuck. Not broke exactly. But not free either. Not even close. You look at your bank account and think, where the hell is it all going? You're making more money than you did 5 years ago, but you feel poorer. You're working harder, but you're further behind. And the worst part? You can't even explain why. It's like there's this invisible hand reaching into your pocket every month, taking more and more, and when you try to question it, everyone just looks at you like you're paranoid. That's just how it works. Everyone deals with this. You just need to budget better. But here's the thing: you are budgeting. You are being responsible. You're doing exactly what they told you to do. So why does it feel like the finish line keeps moving? You ever notice how the system loves responsible people? Like, they don't celebrate the rebels or the risk takers. They celebrate you. The one who shows up. The one who pays. The one who follows through. They build entire campaigns around people like you. Be smart. Be disciplined. Play by the rules and you'll be rewarded. Except, where's the reward? Because if you're honest with yourself, you've been playing this game for years now, and the prize they promised? It's not there. Or if it is, it's buried under so many conditions, so many fine print clauses, so many just one more thing requirements that you're starting to wonder if it ever existed at all. You ever feel like the system isn't broken, it's just not built for you? Like, maybe it's working exactly as designed. Maybe the confusion you feel isn't because you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's because someone needs you to stay confused. Maybe your obedience, your responsibility, your discipline. Maybe that's not the path to freedom. Maybe it's the fuel that keeps something else running. And you're starting to notice things now, aren't you? Little things. The way the language doesn't quite add up. The way the explanations feel circular. The way every time you're about to break even, a new fee appears. A new requirement. A new adjustment. And when you question it, the answer is always the same: that's just policy. That's industry standard. That's how it's always been. But has it though? You're not imagining this. You're not crazy. And you're definitely not alone. Millions of people, good people, responsible people, people who've done everything they were supposed to do, are feeling this exact same thing. This gnawing sense that something's off. That the game is rigged, but in a way that's so subtle, so normalized, you almost feel guilty for even thinking it. So here's what I need you to do. Stay with me. Because what you're about to discover isn't some conspiracy theory or anti-system rant. It's something way more uncomfortable than that. It's the truth about how obedience gets weaponized. How responsibility becomes a trap. How the very things you were taught would set you free are the exact things keeping you locked in place. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stay with me until the end, because this goes deeper than you think. You ever feel like you're doing everything right but somehow still losing? Like, seriously, you pay your bills on time, every single month. You follow the rules. You don't miss deadlines. You're the person everyone calls responsible. You've got your credit score memorized. You budget like it's a religion. You sacrifice nights out, skip vacations, say no to things you actually want because you're being smart, being disciplined, being the adult everyone told you to be. And yet, you're stuck. Not broke exactly. But not free either. Not even close. You look at your bank account and think, where the hell is it all going? You're making more money than you did 5 years ago, but you feel poorer. You're working harder, but you're further behind. And the worst part? You can't even explain why. It's like there's this invisible hand reaching into your pocket every month, taking more and more, and when you try to question it, everyone just looks at you like you're paranoid. That's just how it works. Everyone deals with this. You just need to budget better. But here's the thing: you are budgeting. You are being responsible. You're doing exactly what they told you to do. So why does it feel like the finish line keeps moving? You ever notice how the system loves responsible people? Like, they don't celebrate the rebels or the risk takers. They celebrate you. The one who shows up. The one who pays. The one who follows through. They build entire campaigns around people like you. Be smart. Be disciplined. Play by the rules and you'll be rewarded. Except, where's the reward? Because if you're honest with yourself, you've been playing this game for years now, and the prize they promised? It's not there. Or if it is, it's buried under so many conditions, so many fine print clauses, so many just one more thing requirements that you're starting to wonder if it ever existed at all. You ever feel like the system isn't broken, it's just not built for you? Like, maybe it's working exactly as designed. Maybe the confusion you feel isn't because you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's because someone needs you to stay confused. Maybe your obedience, your responsibility, your discipline. Maybe that's not the path to freedom. Maybe it's the fuel that keeps something else running. And you're starting to notice things now, aren't you? Little things. The way the language doesn't quite add up. The way the explanations feel circular. The way every time you're about to break even, a new fee appears. A new requirement. A new adjustment. And when you question it, the answer is always the same: that's just policy. That's industry standard. That's how it's always been. But has it though? You're not imagining this. You're not crazy. And you're definitely not alone. Millions of people, good people, responsible people, people who've done everything they were supposed to do, are feeling this exact same thing. This gnawing sense that something's off. That the game is rigged, but in a way that's so subtle, so normalized, you almost feel guilty for even thinking it. So here's what I need you to do. Stay with me. Because what you're about to discover isn't some conspiracy theory or anti-system rant. It's something way more uncomfortable than that. It's the truth about how obedience gets weaponized. How responsibility becomes a trap. How the very things you were taught would set you free are the exact things keeping you locked in place. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stay with me until the end, because this goes deeper than you think. Look, if what I just said resonated with you, if you felt that knot in your stomach because you've lived this, do me a favor real quick. Hit that like button. And if you want more content that actually calls out these invisible traps instead of pretending they don't exist, subscribe. Because the algorithm buries stuff like this unless people like you show up. Your like tells the system this matters. Your subscription means I can keep making videos that don't sugarcoat reality. We're building something here, a community that refuses to stay silent. So click that button. Let's do this together. Now here's where it gets real. Let me tell you about someone. We'll call him the Citizen. Not because he's special, but because he's exactly like you. Like me. Like millions of people who thought they were doing everything right. The Citizen wakes up every morning at the same time. He's got a routine. Coffee, shower, work. He's never late. Never misses a deadline. He's the guy his boss can count on. The one his family relies on. The one who doesn't complain, doesn't cause problems, doesn't rock the boat. He just shows up and does what he's supposed to do. And he's proud of that, you know? Because he was raised to believe that responsibility is the foundation of everything. Pay your dues. Honor your commitments. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. That's integrity. That's character. That's what separates adults from children. So every month, like clockwork, the Citizen sits down and handles his obligations. The mortgage payment. The car payment. The credit cards. The insurance. The subscriptions. The utilities. Line by line, account by account, he transfers the money. He watches the balances shift. He marks things as paid in his app. And for a moment, just a moment, he feels good. Like he's winning. Like he's in control. Because that's what they told him, right? Stay on top of your payments and you'll build something. You'll create stability, security, freedom eventually. Just keep paying, keep working, keep following the plan, and one day it'll all click into place. Except it doesn't. The Citizen has been doing this for years now. 5 years, 10 years, maybe more. And every month he goes through the same ritual. He pays, he confirms, he logs out, and then he sits there staring at what's left, wondering why it feels like he's running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. Because here's the thing, his income has gone up. He got a raise 2 years ago. He got a promotion last year. He's making more money now than he ever has. But somehow there's less at the end of the month. Somehow the breathing room he thought he'd have by now never materialized. Somehow the finish line keeps moving just out of reach. And it's not like he's being reckless. He's not out here buying luxury cars or taking expensive trips. He's not gambling or throwing money away. He's just living, paying for the basics, the things everyone needs, the things the system says you're supposed to have if you want to be a functioning adult. But the numbers don't add up. He pulls up his credit card statement one night because something's been nagging at him. He's been paying the minimum every month, sometimes more, and yet the balance barely moves. In fact, some months it feels like it's higher than it was before, even though he didn't use the card that much. He scrolls through the charges. Groceries. Guess. A prescription. Nothing crazy. Nothing he could have avoided. And then he sees it. The interest charge. The late fee from 2 months ago when the payment posted 1 day late because of a weekend. The account maintenance fee that showed up without warning. The adjustment that has no explanation next to it. He adds it all up in his head, and suddenly he realizes something disturbing. A huge chunk of what he's been paying isn't even going toward what he owes. It's going toward something else. Fees, charges, interest on interest, penalties for things he didn't know were penalties. And when he tries to understand it, when he calls the number on the back of the card or clicks through the website looking for answers, the explanations are buried in language that sounds official but doesn't actually clarify anything. Your account is subject to variable APR based on market conditions. Fees may apply depending on usage and payment history. Please refer to your terms and conditions for further details. But he did refer to them. He read the whole thing when he signed up. Or at least he tried to. It was 40 pages of dense text written in a way that seemed designed to confuse rather than inform. And even now, going back to it, he can't find the part that explains why his balance isn't going down the way it should. So he tells himself what everyone tells themselves: I just need to pay more. I just need to work harder. I just need to get ahead of it. And he does. He picks up extra shifts. He cuts back on things he enjoys. He skips lunch a few days a week to save money. He cancels the streaming service. He stops going out with friends. He tightens the budget even more. And for a while it feels like it's working. He manages to put an extra $100 toward the balance. Then $200. He watches the number drop, and he feels that same spark of hope he felt years ago when he first started taking this seriously. But then life happens. The car needs new tires. The kid needs dental work. The water heater breaks. And suddenly that progress he made? Gone. Not just gone, reversed. Because now there's a new charge, a new balance, a new thing to pay off. And the cycle starts over. The citizen isn't stupid. He knows something's wrong. But every time he tries to put his finger on it, the explanation shifts. The terms change. The rules adjust. And everyone around him, the people who are supposed to know, the people who are supposed to help, they all say the same thing: that's just how it works. That's normal. Everyone deals with this. But is it normal? Or is normal just another word for accepted? Because the citizen is starting to notice something. The system doesn't reward him for paying on time. It doesn't celebrate his discipline. In fact, the more responsible he is, the more he's expected to handle. The more he proves he can pay, the more he's offered. New credit lines. Higher limits. Better rates. If he just commits to a little more, a little longer, a little deeper. And every time he says yes, thinking this is the move that'll finally get him ahead, he ends up further in. Not because he's irresponsible, but because the game isn't designed for him to win. It's designed for him to play. He's starting to see it now. The way the language is structured. The way the penalties are hidden. The way the interest compounds in ways that don't make intuitive sense. The way the minimum payment is calculated just low enough to keep you paying forever, but just high enough to make you feel like you're making progress. It's not an accident. It's not bad luck. It's not even a flaw in the system. It's the system. And the worst part? He's not alone. Everyone he knows is dealing with some version of this. His coworker who's been paying off student loans for 12 years and still owes more than she started with. His brother who bought a house 5 years ago and has barely touched the principal. His friend who pays every bill on time, has good credit and still can't save anything. They're all doing what they're supposed to do. They're all following the rules. And they're all stuck. So here's the question that's starting to keep the citizen up at night. What if responsibility isn't the path to freedom? What if it's the anchor? Comment below, I'm in this together, if you've ever experienced this firsthand. Now, here's what most people don't realize about this trap. It's not just financial. It's psychological. And that's what makes it so effective. See, the citizen doesn't just pay his bills every month. He experiences a specific emotional cycle that keeps him locked in place without even knowing it. Let me walk you through what that looks like. At the beginning of the month, there's anxiety. The bills are due. The deadlines are approaching. He can feel the weight of it building. So he sits down, goes through his accounts and makes the payments. One by one. Click confirm, done. And the moment that last payment goes through, something shifts. He feels relief. Not happiness exactly. Not freedom. Just relief. The kind you feel when you've avoided disaster for another 30 days. And that relief? That's the drug. Because in that moment, the citizen feels like he's won. He's handled his responsibilities. He's kept everything afloat. He's proven, again, that he's capable, that he's in control, that he's doing what he's supposed to do. And for a few hours, maybe even a full day, he walks around feeling lighter. Like he's earned something. Like he's made progress. But here's the thing about relief, it's not the same as advancement. Relief is just the absence of immediate threat. It's not growth. It's not building toward anything. It's survival disguised as success. And the system knows this. It's counting on it actually. Because that hit of relief is just strong enough to keep you coming back, but never strong enough to set you free. It's the perfect dosage. Just enough to make you feel like you're managing, but never enough to make you question why you're stuck in this loop in the first place. So the citizen pays. He feels relief. And then the cycle starts again. The anxiety builds. The due dates approach. The pressure mounts. And he pays again. And again. And again. Month after month. Year after year. Always the same rhythm. Always the same emotional pattern. Stress, effort, payment, relief. Stress, effort, payment, relief. Over and over like a heartbeat he can't control. And the crazy part? He starts to normalize it. He starts to believe that this is just what adult life feels like. That everyone lives like this. That the stress is just part of being responsible. That the exhaustion is the price you pay for stability. But is it stability? Or is it stagnation wrapped in the language of responsibility? Because here's what the citizen is slowly starting to realize. He's been running this race for years and he's no closer to the finish line than he was when he started. In fact, he might be further away. The balance on his credit card hasn't dropped the way it should. The mortgage still has decades left on it. The car loan got refinanced, which gave him lower monthly payments but added 3 more years to the term. The student loans? Still there. Still compounding. Still waiting. And every time he thinks he's about to break through, every time he manages to save a little extra or pay down a chunk of debt, something happens. An emergency. An unexpected expense. A rate increase. A fee he didn't see coming. And just like that, the progress evaporates. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You can pour as much as you want, work as hard as you want, but the level never rises. And after a while you stop asking why there's a hole. You just accept that this is how buckets work. But it's not. And deep down the citizen knows it. He's starting to notice things that didn't bother him before. Like the way the minimum payment is always just low enough to feel manageable, but somehow keeps him locked in for years. Or the way the interest rate can change without warning, buried in some clause he signed 5 years ago and never read again. Or the way the terms of his agreements seem to shift every time he tries to pay something off early. He's starting to see the patterns. The way the system celebrates his discipline but profits from his obedience. The way every reward comes with a catch. The way every benefit has a cost hidden somewhere in the fine print. And it's not just him. It's everywhere. His neighbor who's been paying on a store credit card for 3 years and still owes almost the full amount. His cousin who took out a personal loan to consolidate debt and ended up with more accounts than she started with. His coworker who refinanced his mortgage to get a better rate, only to realize he reset the clock and added 10 more years of payments. They're all stuck in the same loop. All doing the right thing. All following the rules. And all wondering why it feels like they're sinking instead of swimming. The truth is, the system doesn't need people who fail. It doesn't profit from people who can't pay. It profits from people who can, barely. People who are responsible enough to keep paying, but never quite successful enough to pay it off. People who feel just enough relief each month to keep going, but never enough freedom to step back and ask the hard questions. That's the sweet spot. That's where the real money is made. Not in default. Not in bankruptcy. But in perpetual payment. In the endless middle ground where people stay current, stay compliant, stay trapped. And the citizen is starting to understand something that's been nagging at him for years but that he's never been able to articulate. The system isn't failing him. It's using him. His responsibility isn't a virtue being rewarded. It's a resource being extracted. Every payment he makes on time proves he's reliable. Every month he stays current proves he's manageable. Every year he keeps going proves he's the perfect customer. The kind who doesn't cause problems, doesn't ask too many questions, and doesn't stop paying. And the exhaustion he feels? That's not a bug. That's a feature. Because exhausted people don't have the energy to question. They don't have the bandwidth to investigate. They just keep their heads down and keep moving forward, one payment at a time, hoping that eventually someday it'll all make sense. But it won't. Not unless something changes. Not unless he stops long enough to see the bigger picture. Not unless he asks the questions he's been too tired, too busy, too afraid to ask. Questions like, why does being responsible feel like punishment? Why does doing everything right still leave me behind? Why does the system need me to stay in debt to function? And here's the hardest question of all. What if freedom isn't on the other side of obedience? What if it's on the other side of clarity? Now I want to know, have you felt this? That exhaustion. That loop. That sense that you're doing everything right but somehow still losing. Drop a comment and tell me. Because I promise you, you're not alone in this. And what's coming next is going to connect all these dots in a way that might honestly change how you see everything. Stay with me. Now I want to go deeper into what's really happening here, because this isn't just about money. It's about time. And that's the part that hits different once you really see it. The Citizen has been in this cycle for how long now? Let's say 10 years. That's 120 months of payments. 120 times he sat down, logged in, transferred the money, and walked away feeling like he did what he was supposed to do. 120 moments of temporary relief followed by the slow creep of anxiety as the next due date approached. But here's what he didn't count on during all those years. The cost of those moments wasn't just financial. It was psychological, emotional. It was pieces of his peace of mind shaved off month after month, so gradually he didn't even notice it was happening. Because every time he made a payment, he wasn't just transferring money. He was also making a silent promise to himself: this is worth it. This is building towards something. This is the trade-off I make now so I can have freedom later. But later never came. And after 10 years, he's starting to realize that the promise wasn't real. It was just a story he told himself to make the grind bearable. A narrative he needed to believe in because the alternative, that he's been running in place this whole time, is too painful to accept. So he looks back and he tries to measure the progress. He pulls up old statements. He scrolls through years of payments. And what he finds is disturbing. Not because the numbers are wrong, but because they're exactly what they should be according to the system's logic. Which means the system is working perfectly. Just not for him. He sees that in year 3 he paid off what he thought was a significant chunk of a balance. But when he looks closer, most of that money went to interest, not principal. In year 5 he refinanced something to get a better rate, but the new terms stretched the repayment period so far into the future that he actually ended up paying more overall. In year 7 he made extra payments thinking he was getting ahead, only to realize those payments were applied in a way that minimized their impact. Something about how the interest accrues daily, how payments are processed, how the terms are structured. The explanation was there, buried in documents he couldn't fully parse, written in language that seemed deliberately opaque. And the worst part? None of it was illegal. None of it was technically unfair. It was all spelled out somewhere, in some agreement he clicked through, some document he signed, some terms and conditions he agreed to without fully understanding. But here's the thing, he's not dumb. He's not careless. He's just a regular person trying to navigate a system that's intentionally designed to be confusing. A system where the rules are written by people who profit when you don't fully understand them. And now, after all these years, he's starting to ask the questions he should have asked at the beginning. Questions like, why is it so hard to see where my money actually goes? Why does progress feel so slow even when I'm paying more than the minimum? Why do the terms keep changing in ways that always seem to benefit them, never me? And the answer, when he finally lets himself see it, is almost too simple, because the system isn't designed to set you free. It's designed to keep you paying. Not forever in a way that's obvious, but for long enough that the profit extracted from your obedience far exceeds what you originally borrowed or agreed to. That's the truth hiding in plain sight. The longer you stay in the system, the more valuable you are. Not as a person, as a revenue stream. And it's not just about credit cards or loans. It's about the entire structure. The way housing works, the way transportation works, the way education is financed, the way healthcare costs are structured, the way subscriptions auto-renew, the way penalties are applied, the way convenience always comes with a recurring fee. Everything is designed to extract a little bit from you, month after month, in amounts that feel manageable but add up to something massive over time. And the people who benefit from this system need you to keep paying. Not begrudgingly, but willingly, proudly even, because you're responsible, because you're disciplined, because you're doing the right thing. But the Citizen is starting to realize something that's been gnawing at him for years. What if doing the right thing in this context just means doing what you're told? What if responsibility in this system is just another word for compliance? He's starting to see how the language works, how they use words like investment and opportunity and building credit and financial health to make it sound like you're growing when really you're just deeper in. How they frame every new offer as a benefit, every new term as an improvement, every new product as something that'll make your life easier, when really it's just another way to keep you attached. And the shame he feels? That's part of the design too. Because if you feel like you're the problem, if you think you're just not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not strategic enough, then you won't question the system itself. You'll just keep trying harder, keep grinding longer, keep sacrificing more. And that's exactly what they need you to do. The Citizen thinks back to all the advice he's heard over the years. Just budget better. Just increase your income. Just pay more than the minimum. Just be patient. And he did all of that. He followed every piece of conventional wisdom. He made the sacrifices. He put in the work. And he's still stuck. Not because he failed, but because the game was rigged from the start. Not in a way that's dramatic or illegal, but in a way that's normalized, accepted, defended even by people who've been in it so long they can't imagine anything different. And here's the part that really messes with his head. The system loves people like him. The responsible ones. The ones who show up. The ones who pay. Because irresponsible people are a risk. They default. They walk away. They cause losses. But responsible people? Responsible people are gold. They stay. They pay. They endure. They internalize the struggle as their own fault, which means they never direct their frustration at the system itself. They just keep grinding, keep hoping, keep believing that if they just try a little harder it'll finally click. But it won't. Not within the rules as they're currently written. Because the rules aren't neutral. They're designed by people with interests. And those interests are not aligned with your freedom. They're aligned with your continued participation. The citizen sits with this realization and it's heavy. Because it means the last 10 years weren't just difficult. They were, in some ways, wasted. Not completely. He learned things. He survived. He kept his head above water. But he didn't advance. Not really. He just stayed in place while the world moved around him. While costs went up. While the goalposts shifted. While the promises stayed the same but the outcomes kept changing. And now he has to decide. Does he keep playing by the same rules, hoping that eventually it'll work out? Or does he step back and ask a much harder question? What if the rules themselves are the problem? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you realize that your obedience is the fuel that keeps this whole thing running, you can't go back to feeling good about just staying current. Once you understand that relief isn't progress, that effort isn't advancement, that responsibility isn't freedom, you have to confront the reality that you've been lied to. Not with words, but with systems, with structures, with incentives that were never designed to serve you. And that realization? That's where transformation starts. Not in doing more of what you've been doing, but in seeing clearly, maybe for the first time, what's actually been happening. Write this down. I'm seeing this now. If you just felt something click. Now I want to show you the actual mechanism. Because once you see how this works, you can't pretend it's accidental anymore. Let's go back to the citizen and his credit card. He owes, let's say, $5,000. Every month, he gets a statement that shows his balance, his minimum payment, and his due date. And every month he pays. Sometimes the minimum. Sometimes more. He's been doing this for years. But here's what most people don't realize about how these payments actually work. And this is where the whole thing stops being about personal responsibility and starts being about structural design. When the citizen makes a payment, he assumes it's going toward what he owes. And technically it is. But not in the way he thinks. Because the way the system applies his payment is specifically engineered to maximize how long he stays in debt and how much he pays over time. Here's the breakdown. Let's say his minimum payment is $150. He pays it. Feels good. But out of that $150, maybe $120 of it goes to interest and fees. Only $30 actually touches the principal, the amount he originally borrowed. So even though he just handed over $150, his balance only dropped by $30. And next month, the interest gets calculated again. On the full balance. So he's paying interest on interest. Compounding in reverse. Working against him month after month, in a way that's technically explained in the terms but practically invisible until you sit down and do the math yourself. And even when he pays more than the minimum, let's say he pays $300 one month because he got a bonus or a tax refund, the system doesn't reward that effort the way you'd expect. Because the interest is still accruing daily. And depending on when in the billing cycle he makes that payment, and how the terms are written, a big chunk of that extra money might still go toward interest that's already accumulated, not toward reducing the principal as much as he thought. So he's hustling. He's sacrificing. He's making extra payments. And the balance is moving but barely. Not because he's doing something wrong, but because the math is designed to work this way. Slowly. Gradually. Profitably. And here's the part that really makes it click. The system needs him to keep paying for as long as possible. Because that's where the profit lives. Not in the original $5,000 he borrowed. But in the years of interest, fees, and payments that stretch far beyond what he originally owed. If he paid it off quickly, the system makes less. If he pays it off slowly, just fast enough to avoid default but not fast enough to escape, that's the sweet spot. That's where the real money is made. And every part of the structure, from the minimum payment calculation to the way interest compounds to the fees that appear when you're even slightly off track, is designed to keep you in that zone. It's not a bug. It's the business model. And it's not just credit cards. It's mortgages where the first 10 years of payments barely touch the principal. It's car loans that get stretched to 6, 7, 8 years so the monthly payment feels manageable, but you end up paying almost double what the car was worth. It's student loans with income-based repayment plans that keep your monthly payment low but extend the repayment period so long that you're paying for decades, watching the balance grow even as you make every payment on time. It's a system where being responsible doesn't set you free, keeps you engaged, keeps you paying, keeps you valuable. And the citizen is starting to see this now. Not because someone sat him down and explained it, but because he finally stopped long enough to look at the actual numbers instead of just the feelings. He stopped trusting the relief and started questioning the results. And what he found is that the system isn't neutral. It's not a tool you use. It's a structure that uses you. Your discipline becomes its reliability. Your responsibility becomes its revenue. Your hope that just a little longer will finally pay off becomes the reason you stay locked in year after year after year. Because here's the thing about hope in this context. It's weaponized. The system gives you just enough forward movement to keep you believing. Just enough progress to make you think you're winning. Just enough relief to keep you from walking away. But if you actually sat down and calculated how much you've paid versus how much your balance has decreased, the math would break your heart. Because you'd realize you've been running for years and you're still in the same spot. Or worse, you're further back than when you started because life happened, because costs went up, because the terms changed, because something always comes up right when you're about to break through. And the system anticipated that too. Because it's not designed around ideal circumstances. It's designed around real life. Around the fact that people get sick, cars break down, jobs change, emergencies happen. And every time one of those things pulls you back, the system is right there, ready to extend more credit, offer a new term, refinance the existing debt, keep you moving but never quite free. It's brilliant in a dark way. Because it doesn't rely on people being irresponsible. It relies on them being exactly the opposite. It relies on their commitment. Their integrity. Their belief that if they just keep honoring their agreements, it'll eventually work out. But the agreements were never balanced. They were written by one side to benefit one side. And the cost of not reading every word, not understanding every clause, not questioning every fee, is years of your life spent in a loop you can't escape just by trying harder. And this is where the citizen has to confront something really uncomfortable. The system taught him to measure his worth by his ability to stay current. It taught him that being a good person means paying what you owe no matter what. It taught him that struggle is normal, that exhaustion is the cost of responsibility, that if he's finding it hard, it's because he's not doing enough. But what if all of that was just conditioning? What if the reason he feels guilty for even questioning this is because guilt is the chain that keeps him locked in? Because think about it. If you feel ashamed for struggling, you won't talk about it. If you feel like failure is a personal flaw, you won't organize with others who feel the same way. If you internalize the system's logic as truth, you'll defend it even as it drains you. You'll tell yourself the same lies it tells you. This is just how it works. Everyone deals with this. I just need to be smarter, work harder, sacrifice more. But no amount of personal optimization fixes a system that's structurally extractive. You can't budget your way out of a game where the rules are designed to keep you playing. You can't discipline your way to freedom when your discipline is the very thing being harvested. And once the citizen sees this, really sees it, everything changes. Not all at once, but slowly. The way he interprets his own experience starts to shift. The shame starts to lift. The guilt starts to feel less like truth and more like programming. Because he realizes he wasn't failing. He was being used. And there's a huge difference between those two things. One puts the blame on him. The other puts the responsibility where it actually belongs. On a system that profits from keeping good people trapped. And that clarity? That's not hopelessness. That's power. Because you can't change something you don't understand. You can't resist something you don't see. But once you see it clearly, once you understand the mechanism, once you stop blaming yourself for a structure that was designed to exploit you, that's when real transformation becomes possible. Not by playing harder, but by playing different. Or maybe by questioning whether you should be playing this game at all. Leave a comment saying, "Now I see," if this finally makes sense. Look, if you made it all the way to the end of this, that says something. It means this hit different for you. It means you're not just scrolling, you're actually processing. You're connecting the dots. And that matters. So here's what I'm gonna ask. If this video gave you clarity you didn't have before, if it put words to something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, hit that like button. because that tells the algorithm this kind of content matters. That people want real conversations, not just surface-level advice that doesn't change anything. And if you want to keep going down this path, if you want to see more breakdowns like this that actually pull back the curtain instead of just repeating the same tired talking points, subscribe. Because I'm building something here for people who are done pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. People who want the truth even when it's uncomfortable. People like you. Drop a comment too. Just write to comvose80fim, so I know you stuck around. So I know this resonated. Because honestly, that feedback is what keeps me making videos like this. It's what tells me there's a community forming around these ideas, and that we're not alone in seeing what's really going on. And look, there's a video right here that goes even deeper into how to actually navigate this stuff once you see it clearly. It's not about rage. It's not about giving up. It's about moving forward with your eyes open. So click that, keep the momentum going, and let's keep this conversation alive. I'll see you in the next one.